Hey, Steve Bignoni here, doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts. And this is a Gen 3 Nova. This one's a 1974, and it's the last year of the third generation Nova, which ran 68 through 73, or 74, excuse me. Now, something about the 73 and 74 Novas was that hatchback in the distance right there. Kind of a cool thing. Now keep in mind, the first American full-size hatchback was the 1949 Kaiser Traveller, and in 1951 its twin, the Fraser Vagabond. In fact, on this channel, you will see a video on a 1951 Fraser Vagabond. So look for that too after you see this video. But with that said, let's move on to the Nova, which in Espanol means it doesn't go, which is kind of one of those weird ironies of the GM marketing people. They didn't realize that in Latin American countries, Nova means it doesn't go. Of course, the world got over it, but that is the strict translation of it. But speaking of not going, in 68, 69, 70, and 71, you could get a 396/402 big block under the hood of one of these things. By 1974, we're looking at 307s, 350s, and the 250 six-cylinder engine. Now this one here is, okay, somebody has the key and it ain't me, but there you have it right there. So looks like a 350, but hard to say. Anyway, we'll move on. But one thing we do see on this thing is 1973 and 74, well, these telescoping shock absorber mounts. These are hydraulic, and what these were, these satisfied a federal mandate that front bumpers had to withstand a 5-mile-an-hour impact and within 24 hours come back to undamaged condition. Now, the bumper was spaced farther away to accommodate these pistons, and so these filler panels right here, which are made of flexible sort of vinyl, were also part of the nose of 73 and 74. Now, these are flexible because, again, within 24 hours, no visible signs of damage had to be seen. Now you got to say, what on earth were lawmakers doing designing cars? Well, after Ralph Nader's 1967 book, Unsafe at Any Speed, where he crucified General Motors and the Corvair, somewhat for good reasons, somewhat for, you know, it's a bit sensationalized. Well, Congress and the government began to take a second look at the auto industry and began to mandate stuff like this. Now, my question is, when do two cars hit at exactly 5 miles per hour, exactly bumper to bumper? It doesn't happen, but the lawmakers made it so. Now, you can see that both sides have the same kind of ram. Here they are right here, and these are hydraulic. They have an oil inside. I believe it's nitrogen or something like that, and oil. So they spring back, and again, we can see here that they're not that pretty to look at. But one thing that Chevrolet did to save cost was the same fender stamping was used from 68 through 74, but this filler panel right here was added along the way to give it a different look. It's not very pretty. It's classic Detroit facelifting, but again, this bit right here, hideous to look at, but you'll see this on 73 and 74 Novas. And at the back of the car, similar stuff is in play. Now this did have disc brakes up front. You can see that because the calipers are still here. So again, I believe this is a 350 car. If I could open the hood, we'd know more. It also has the front sway bar. You could actually get the Nova SS with a 350 and a 4-speed in 1974, one of the final years for it. So let's take a walk around the back. But as we make our way, let's take a look here at another Nova. This is the first generation right here. This one I think is a 64, 5 lugs. 62 and 3 would have a 4-lug wheel, but 64 was the first year for the optional V8 engine, and so as a result, 5-lug wheels. But that again is a 4-door body right there. Now the third generation Nova was only available as a 2-door or a 4-door, never as a convertible or a station wagon, which the first generation and second gen Novas could be had. But there was a third body style in the third gen Nova, and it's right here, the hatchback. And here it is, roughly $113 more than a base Chevy Nova 2-door would get you the hatchback. And the beauty of the hatchback really was that it gave you the utility of a station wagon and, you know, the close coupled comfort of a coupe. Now here's something here. The first, some would say, hatchback, by the way, this is Road Test magazine right here. This is March of '73, and it says here, the most quoted automobile magazine right there, Road Test. So let's quote it. And here we see inside of the March '73 issue, this is the '73 AMC Hornet Hatchback, new for '73. You can see right there, that big hatch opens up. Now the Hornet, of course, was a larger car than the Gremlin, which was a hatchback, which came along a couple years before this. But as far as mid-sized cars go, the Hornet Hatchback was a trendsetter. And keep in mind, 1949 through '53, Kaiser did make the Traveller / Vagabond, which was a hatchback, but after '53, those things were gone. So the hatchback thing kind of came back in the early '70s as people sought to combine utility and comfort. But again, here we have it here. Now, something kind of cool about the 1973 and 4 hatchback Novas is the fact that Chevrolet redesigned the trunk floor. Let's lift the cargo flap right here, this little door, which is hinged, and we look underneath. And we can see it's flat, but for the left-hand side here, we see a circular indentation. That was to suit the Space Saver miniature spare tire, which was standard on hatchbacks, but optional on all other Novas. But all Novas, 4-doors, non-hatchbacks, got this type of trunk floor, which was new for '73, to accommodate the Space Saver spare. Now, we can see some moot testimony or history here on that Space Saver spare with the sticker. It says right here, this is the jacking instructions here. And in fact, there is discussion of the inflator. See that right there? That right there tells us that there was once a compressed bottle, which was inside this trunk compartment, which would allow this little mini tire to blow up and function as a full-size temporary spare. But again, this trunk also allowed something new in the world of the gas tank, and we see it right here. Gas tank volume went from 18 to 21 gallons in 1973 with the advent of the hatchback style trunk floor. We can see here the cutout, this would fit underneath that. And again, 21 gallons, which in 1973-74 was a big deal because we got to remember back then there was a fuel crunch on, and in many cases you can only buy 10 gallons at a time. Go around the block, get 10 more. So the bigger your tank, the better off you were. Chevy knew that, and that was one of the reasons for this. Now also something new for '74 was a change in the bumper laws at the back of the car. For '73, the bumper had to withstand a 2.5 mile-an-hour impact, not the 5 up front, but the 2.5. Crazy. But for '74, well, the Fed says you got to make it 5 at the back too. So here we have it. This is the 1974 rear bumper, and it's goofy, it's big, these big horrible brackets right here, and behind them are the hydraulic rams, these puppies right here. So again, these are new for '74. They're larger and longer than the '73 versions, again, because the rear bumper had to withstand a 5 mile-an-hour impact. And again, when do two cars actually hit bumper to bumper at like 5 miles an hour? And who really cares if it bounces back, because damage is going to get done. But it's a weird thing when lawmakers start designing cars. Well, this is what happens. Now this is a nice example of a totally wasted hatchback. But here's a better one. This is Road Test magazine, October '72. And this, of course, is previewing the all-new hatchback Nova. And here we see it in its splendor. It's a brand new car, all crisp, fresh off the Norwood, Ohio assembly line. And there it is with the hatchback in the back. And again, these were not that much more expensive. It was a matter of $113 more to get the hatchback. And these are counterweighted, and we can see here, these are spring-loaded, not hydraulic, these pistons right here. I won't push them down, but there's no oil in these things. These are actually spring-loaded, kind of a weird little deal. But again, fully engineered. I'm sure that underneath in the floor pan and in the rockers, there are probably a lot of torque boxes and additional reinforcements, because when you take away that rear bulkhead, the package tray, the body gets kind of twisty unless you compensate for it. So there's certainly a lot of bracing that we can't see from outside inside of this. But the beauty of these things is the utility. In fact, these were also available on the Olds Omega, the Buick Skylark, I think it was, and the Pontiac Ventura 2, which were variants of the Chevy Nova X car. In fact, in 1974, the Pontiac GTO with a shaker hood and a 350 could be had with a hatchback body. And in fact, this right here is a door from a Nova, right? Well, it looks the part, you know, full door frame as they all were. But if we look on this side, we see the old logo. So this is an Olds Omega door But again, we see something different. This is a molded one-piece door panel with carpeting down low. Again, Oldsmobile was a little upscale from Chevrolet. The Chevy door panel would be far less ornate, not molded like this. So again, this is an Olds Omega / Chevy Nova badge engineered car door. And I guess somebody got their door blown off on this one. But that's the story of America's second love affair with the hatchback body style, which again launched in the early 70s. Pintos, Vegas, a Hornet, and yes, the Chevy Nova. Now this is the final year, 74, for the third generation Nova, but the fourth generation Nova arrived in 75. It ran through 79, and yes, you could get yourself a hatchback if you wanted in 75 through 79 Novas as well. Different car in many ways, but also quite similar. Now one weird thing again about this third and fourth generation Nova, there were no wagons and no convertibles. So it was either a four-door or a two-door coupe or a two-door hatch like this one right here. Now keep in mind that in 1974, that was the peak year for Chevy Nova output with 390,357 cars built. But of them, a total of 34,349 were hatchbacks like this. And check this out, the V8 cars outproduced the six-cylinder cars. In fact, 20,627 V8 hatchbacks were built in 1974 versus 13,722 six-cylinder hatchbacks in 1974. So that's the story of the hatchback's second coming. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Max YouTube channel.